Welcome back to Let's Talk with Shamika. To those of you who are new here, my name is Shamika Graves, and on my channel I talk about real life situations and solutions. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, please stick around. And if you like my content, remember to interact with it, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment. Let's get to know each other, and don't forget to smash that red subscribe button right there. So tonight, guys, we're gonna dive into a relationship issue. And as we get along, you'll figure out what it is, okay? So some years ago, I met this guy and we sat having a conversation. We did have something in common. We both suffered from a failed marriage. And I remember he was saying that, I did everything in my power and my wife still left me. You know? I fixed everything around the house. I worked and brought the money in. She was a good woman. She was a real good woman. She took care of the children. She did this. She used to beat her body, but I did everything. I cleaned the yard. I built the wall. I did everything. And when it was Mother's Day, I made sure I got a washing machine or I got a pot set. I don't mean to laugh, but I got her these stuff. And as a woman watching me, I guess you would start to laugh one time, right? Or probably not. So, he said I got her all those things. But she always would complain. You're not spending time with me. You're not spending time with me. He said, but I have everything to do. So, and I'm doing this stuff for her. It's for her doing everything for her. And then she would complain. You're not spending any time with me. So I really didn't know what to do because I thought I was making her happy. That's my mind. I am making her and the children happy. So I'm doing everything to make them happy and comfortable. And yet the woman always complaining. So and this day I was doing something and she walked up to me. She said, see, you and Dad go stay right here when I leave you. That is where you go stay with. He said it was something in the yard I was doing for her benefit. And sure enough, she left because, she gave him the warning, right? I think that she came out playing. She gave him the warning. And at the point in time, he said he couldn't understand. He couldn't understand. I did all that I could have done. What else could I have done? He said that thing hit me like a ton of blocks. I didn't know what I could have done. He said I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. See, because I cry. I ain't lying to tell you, I cry. So I cry for my wife. So, but the woman to make up her mind, boy. She left and that was it. He said, but now, after all these years, I could see where I went wrong. He said the woman was telling me all the time what she wanted. She was telling me all the time what she wanted. She wanted me. She wanted me. She wanted to spend time with me. But I was focused on doing everything else, and I'm saying, it's to benefit her. But that is not all that she wanted. She wanted some quality time with me. And, we must put everything into perspective. Because one thing you don't want is a curse of a lazy man. You don't want that. But at the same time, we must have some balance in our lives. Because I know that even if hard work would have attracted her to him, there must have been something else as well. Because you won't just run into a relationship with a man because he doesn't work hard. He must have been nice to her. He probably prioritized her in the earlys. He had to make that woman special, feel special. Something would have attracted her to him besides that. And I know if when he was going behind her, when his eyes were set on that woman, I know he would have studied his prey and placed the necessary bait. If you understand what I'm saying, we don't put salt to catch flies. We just put sugar. My husband is a birdman. And I look at how he does take care of his birds. Every morning he would get up faithfully, diligently, as he does get up and do. Every morning he would get up and he would put water, he would clean out the cage, he would give them tonic, whatever he needs to do, he will do, and then he would set out the poles and put the bird out there. And because he liked bullfinch, he would fly the trap. But there is something that he puts inside the trap to attract the bullfinch to get in there. Now, we cannot put any old kind of seeds in there to attract a bullfinch. So he knows exactly what type of seed to put in there. And exactly that he leaves there, because in the event that a bullfinch passes, he is like 95% sure that he's going to catch that bullfinch. You see, he studied the bullfinch and them. He liked them, so he studied them. And he know what I like. He know what will catch their attention. And just like that, that is what we do. That is what we do with relationships. And especially men are hunters that study their prey. But mind you, you see, when he catches the bird, he continues to nourish the bird. He continues faithfully to go out and get that particular thing that he know the birds and them like, the bullfinch like, and he gives it to them even after he catches the bird. And he takes care of that bird until death do they part with that same treatment. There was a time that the bird cage opened. Our last son went outside and opened one of the bird cage and was warning the man, good birds, stop birds, whistling birds. And by the time we realized what had happened, you know, and we were going outside, we went outside, I was in front, the bird was still in the cage, and I was able to go back and close the door of the cage. Nobody could convince me that that bird didn't see that opening for that amount of time. But the bird didn't fly out. The bird did not fly out. It chose to stay there. And we could stay here and argue all night why and if, and you know it's because, and I could tell me the psychology behind it, but the bird didn't fly. That's the point, right? How many of us just lay our traps, study our prey, catch it, and then starve it? How many of us do that? Mind you, if he catch the bird and he doesn't feed it, he understands that bird is going to die. He understands if he catches a bird from the wild, he has to give it certain things to kill the mite that it has come with, because it would die in the cage from the mite. He understands that he have to continue feeding and nourishing the bird, because eventually, is either the bird will die, or the first chance the bird gets to fly, it's going to fly. Y'all, it's not a laughing matter, but the first chance the bird gets to fly, it's gonna fly. So what make you think that if you don't treat that woman the same way, or continue to treat her the same way as when you would have attracted her, she accepted the proposal, got married to you, and when you get into the house, it is a whole different ballgame. Everything else seems to be more important. You tell yourself you're doing that for your wife, but who are you really doing that for? Who are you really doing it for? Because if she constantly keeps requesting something from you, something so little, and yet we find it so hard, time. Anything that you care about and you're interested in takes time. Think about that. Anything that you care about or you're interested in occupies your time. If you love God, you spend time with Him. If you love your children, you spend time with them. If you love games, you spend time behind the computer. Anything you love. It's natural. And not only that, when you love somebody, you try to make them happy. Don't force what you think would make them happy down their throat. You must have an idea as to what genuinely makes your spouse happy. And you know the thing about it is be out there. Your spouse does tell you, honey, let's do this, let's do that. Let's take some money and spend some time alone. Let's come out of this environment. It is stressful. But you prioritize every single thing. We don't have money for that. We don't have time for that. And you just leave that as that isn't important. Those things aren't important. Prioritizing everything else but your marriage and the happiness of your spouse. You forget how to date your mate, apparently. I told her elder some years ago, we were talking, and I said, all my teeth could fall out of my mouth. Young and dumb now, young and dumb. I said, all my teeth could fall out of my mouth because I done married. I said, so I ain't have nobody to attract. He said, yeah, you might not have nobody to attract, but you have somebody to keep. Right? And he was so right. He was so right. And not only somebody to keep, I do have somebody to attract, keep attracting my husband. And it's the same thing applies. There is somebody that you have to keep nourishing. There's something that you need to keep nourishing a relationship. There is something that you need to keep the heat under your relationship, your marriage. That should be the second most important thing to you after your relationship with God, your marriage. Yet still you would spend money behind everything else. Everything else is important. But the needs of your wife or your husband isn't. To take money to go on a vacation is a waste of time. You would go and take a loan to buy a vehicle, to build a house, to buy a bed, to buy a stove. But let your wife tell her she wants to go on a vacation. You find taking money to go on a vacation is a waste of time. Something came to my mind, but I can't even tell you, but you're not smart. You're not using, you see this? You're not using that. You're not using it. And I'm going to be straight up with you guys. You don't have to like it, and you don't have to agree with me. But I heard a preacher said something some years ago. And after having my own experience, I realized that, it has some merit to it. Right? He said a woman, and I want to extend it. A woman, he said a woman, but I'm saying a woman or a man, a person that starts lacking, starts looking. How long would you remain unhappy? How long you would remain stifled? How long? How long? If your spouse and your marriage is important to you, then you would do the things that your spouse wants to do. And I'm not saying do it every minute. We're talking about the reasonable thinking, man, within reasonable limits. She wants to go on a holiday once every 3 years, once every 5 years, once every 10 years. You never go on a honeymoon. She asks you to go on a honeymoon after 8 years, 10 years. You find this nonsense. What are we going on honeymoon for? We get married so long. You all are married so long. And your wife would have sacrificed at that point. She would have sacrificed her ring. But she always wanted it. After all these years. When she tells you she wants a wedding ring now. For what? What are good for? That kind of behavior. That kind of behavior. I thank God for experience now, Because I may not be as old as you, but I thank God because, the thought came in my mind young and dumb, but not only young and dumb. Some of you old and dumb still. Some of you old and dumb still after God, your responsibilities to your spouse. How many of you still take time to court each other, to go out on a date? To have fun, the same things that you all did when you all were dating. But a lot of us just stop date our mate. It's good, it's normal, it's natural, it's healthy to date your mate. Some of you study children, you put everything before your husband, children, house, this, that. And when the children get big and going to have nothing holding you all together because it was only about the children, not about your spouse. And at the end of the day, who is to blame? You know, a lot of us need to blame ourselves, but we don't do that. We normally point a finger at somebody else while we have all the rest pointing back at us. How many of us sit down and do introspection? It's never too late. If you're that person who thinks carrying your wife to a restaurant is wasting money, once in a blue moon she will ask to go to a restaurant, it's wasting money. And if she takes her money to do it, you're all puffed up and you're vexed. She can't spend money, she's wasting money, or whatever the case is. She wants to go on a vacation, not with my money, you know? And I'm not talking far because, I mean, my father basically, you know, like that. He worked all his life, and to do something like that, he would think it's waste of money. At this age, he's 77, getting 78. The only thing he wants to do that would make him happy is to go in the bush. You know? That happened to still work for them. They have been married for a million years, you know, and mommy would go in the bush with him. But guys, you know, it's not too late to remedy that part of your marriage. Because you don't want your bird at the first at the first sign of freedom to fly. You don't want it to die. At least I don't think so. Marriage is tied to your salvation. Stop and think about that for a minute. You know you're in it. Nurture it. Feed it. Spend time thinking of how you would improve it. Spend time with the person that you love. Spend time doing things that make you all happy. So prioritize what is important to you. And I hope tonight that is your spouse and your marriage. And I want to tell you that with God all things are possible. Even when it seems impossible to you, all things are possible with God. Put him first, and he will not put you last. So I pray that God will bless and keep you, that he will cause his face to shine upon you and give you grace in your heart, grace in your home, grace in your marriage. And until we see again, stay blessed.